The Tennent's men's Premiership and National Leagues returned this weekend with all 46 teams taking part for the first time this season. We're going to start our action in the Premiership at Riverside Park, where Jed-Forest were looking to get their first points of the season as they took on Glasgow Hawks. Your commentator for this one is Caitlin Gould.
Hawks were first to get onto the scoreboard with a penalty kick from the 22 by fullback Andy McLean just 12 minutes into the action. However, Jed weren't far behind with the opening try of the game, scored some 5 minutes later, with captain Clark Skeldon powering his way over the line. Lewis Walker converted for a 7-3 lead. A quickly taken penalty by Eric Davey saw Hawks claim their first try of the match as the scrum half crossed the whitewash under the sticks. McLean's conversion was good and Hawks reclaimed the lead. A second Hawks try quickly followed. James Pinkerton sprinted his way from beyond halfway into Jed's 22 before offloading to Ross Darragh, whose pace on the wing couldn't be matched as he crossed the whitewash. Andy McLean added to his points count with a successful conversion. Ahead of the half-time whistle, Jed found their second try of the match through Robbie Shira-Gibb, who chased and gathered Owen Cranston's chip up the left wing. Lewis Walker added the goal points, taking the half-time score to 12-17. Despite being a player down with a yellow card shown to Shira-Gibb, Jed were first to score in the second half as Lewis Walker dotted the ball down across the line, levelling the score. At the 60-minute mark, Jed's Dom Buckley was shown the red card and Jed were left to fight out the last 20 minutes with 14 men. Andy McLean took Hawks back into the lead as Jed tried to hold off the visitors from their try line. McLean converted his score to take a 7-point advantage. Hawks' bonus point try was scored by Callum Harrison, who gathered a long-range pass from Owen Cranston to score in the corner. McLean once again converted. The ever-determined home side managed to narrow the deficit, coming back into the game with 2 more tries scored from close range by Harry Meadows and Gregor Law. Despite claiming their own bonus try point, it wasn't quite enough for the Borders team to take the win, and the final score was settled: Jed-Forest 29, Glasgow Hawks 31.
We turn our attention away from the Borders now and to the capital, where Edinburgh Accies were having their third home game in a row this season. They were looking to continue their impressive start and make that advantage count as they hosted Hawick.
It was the away team who got on the score sheet first through Kirkford's penalty. That was the visitors' only points of the first half in what was a cagey encounter at Raeburn Place, and it was Accies who would get the first try of the game through Lewis Wells in the corner. That put the hosts 7-3 up at half-time, but Hawick got back into the game just into the second half through the ever-reliable boot of Kirkford once again. But Accies then got another try, this time through Robbie Kent, to put them 12-6 up. But as the game looked to be dying out and Accies taking the win, Hawick struck with a try of their own through Matt Carrier. Kirkford's conversion turned the game into Hawick's favour, and they left the winners 13 points to 12, giving Accies their first loss of the season.
Well, just along the road at Goldenacre, there was an Edinburgh derby to look forward to, where Currie were also looking to continue their impressive start to the season against Heriot, who were looking to get their first win of the season.
Surprisingly, it was Heriot that took the lead at Goldenacre. After a couple of phases which saw some promising line breaks, Craig Robertson found a gap through the Currie defence to give them their first points of the match.
Advantage offside.
Currie did get back into the game on the half-hour mark through Ryan Stewart. However, the try was unconverted, which left Currie trailing by 2 points. Eventually though, Currie did take the lead. A quick tap penalty from Rhys Davis caught the defence out before Ewan Stewart went over a couple of phases later. Sam Leto did convert this time to put the visitors 12-7 ahead.
Advantage 9.
Currie turned on the afterburners for their next try as Cammy Meagher got a score in the corner. And their bonus point try was secured moments later, meaning they would walk away with 5 points once again. Kieran Ramsey got his first of the match.
Tackle now, move, White. Advantage, penalty advantage, no rolling.
At the start of the second half though, it was Heriot who would get the first points of the half. Craig Robertson once again got a score in the corner. But Currie would keep fighting for more tries, and Ali McCallum got their first points of the second half. And it was Kieran Ramsey who would get his second of the match moments later. And it wasn't long before the league's top try scorer Corey McGovern would get his 7th try of the season and his first of the match. The final try of the game once again went to Currie, this time through Joe Halliday after this driving maul.
In 5, up we come.
Currie once again walk away with the 5 points, leaving them with maximum points at the start of the season, and scoring 50 points for the 3rd time in as many matches.
Well, one team looking to get back to winning ways were the reigning champions Marr. After a disappointing result to Edinburgh Accies, they were back on the road this weekend, this time to Braidholm, to take on GHA, who were full of confidence after beating Heriot's last time out.
It was Marr who came out the starting blocks first, as Currie McMillan scored from this driving maul to give the visitors the lead. And they would get their second try of the game moments later through Colin Sturgeon, who found a gap between the GHA defence to score onto the posts. However, it was GHA who would get the last point of the second half. Luca Bardelli finished off a fantastic move from both the forwards and the backs to get the home team on the score sheet. but it was the forwards for Marr that would win the game for them in the second half. They got their first point to the half through Gordy Reid. Fraser Grant powered over the line moments later for their bonus point try. And finally it was Ben Johnston who would get over the line for Marr's fifth try, with Colin Sturgeon adding 4 conversions throughout the entire game.
No. Go down. And stop slowly, lads.
However, it was GHA that would get the last points of the game with a try from Charlie Lonergan. However, it was Marr that would walk away with all 5 points from Braidholm.
Nope. Try.
Our final game in the Premiership this weekend comes from Stoneyhill. Selkirk travelled up the A68 to take on Musselburgh, who were looking for their first win of the season.
The dominance of Selkirk's forwards was on show at Stoneyhill as they powered through for their first try from Bruce Riddle from a driving maul.
On the body, not the ball. And again. And Rui, vantage over from the scrum. Vantage. Number 6.
Matt Reid kicked the conversion to put them 7-0 ahead, and although he missed a penalty earlier on the match, he more than made up for it under the post later on to give them a 10-0 lead. And they scored shortly after when Lachlan Ferguson found the gap in the Borough defence to go in unopposed. Danny Owenson put Musselburgh on the score sheet with this penalty. But Selkirk continued their scoring prowess moments later when Ross Nixon broke through the defence to score. And they got their bonus point try just before half time when Scott McClement got his first try of the game. Musselburgh struggled to get points on the board in the first half and it only took them until the last play of the game to get their first try through Cameron Pride. Selkirk continue their unbeaten run in the Premiership and Musselburgh are still searching for their first win.
Me too.
The loss for Musselburgh moves them down to 9th position as Jed move ahead on points difference. On the other end of the table, Currie now move 4 points ahead of Accies with the maximum amount of points from the first 3 games. Selkirk also now move up into 3rd thanks to their bonus point victory ahead of Glasgow Hawks. Selkirk will look to keep the momentum going as they face Edinburgh Accies in the latter's first away game of the season. It's also a big game at the bottom of the table as Jed-Forest host Musselburgh at Riverside, while Glasgow Hawks host Marr, GHA will host Currie and Hawick face Heriots.
Well, we turn our attention now to the National Leagues and to Tennent's men's National 1, where Melrose were looking to put their opening weekend loss to Stirling County behind them as they took on Watsonians at the Greenyards.
Melrose were the first to get on the score sheet as fullback Struan Hutchinson powered through the Watsonians' defence to get the first points of the game. The Melrose backs started to utilise their pace as Donald Crawford found a gap in the Watsonians' defence to power through and get their second try of the game. And after a fantastic turnover, they got the 3rd try of the game, switching the play to the other side of the field to get Hamish Weir on the score sheet.
He's off his feet.
Watsonians managed to find the way through the Melrose defence just before half time, as the play found its way out onto the wing to Josh Mitchell to get their first points of the game.
No. Manage over, score.
But Melrose continued on scoring into the second half and got the bonus point try from Ben McLean, who scored from this driving maul. But with some fantastic play from the backs, Watsonians did manage to get their second try of the game as they hunted for a bonus point. But the Melrose pack once again proved to be too strong, and with this driving maul, once again it was Ben McLean who, in repeat of his first try, got his second. And it was pace once again for Melrose as they scored their final try of the game through James O'Neill. Watsonians did keep pushing for the bonus point tries, and they got their third try just before the end of the match. However, that was all they could muster, as Melrose walks away with the 5 points and Watsonians left empty-handed. Elsewhere in Tennent's men's national 1, Stirling fell short of a bonus point as Ayr walked away with the victory at Braidholm. Stuart's Melville came close to toppling Biggar in a nervy encounter in relief, however it was the visitors who walked away, continuing their 100% start to the season. Highland put 35 points past Dundee and Inverness despite the visitors' best efforts to overcome the host. They themselves, however, did come away with a bonus point for their efforts. And finally, Gala continued to dominate their opponents in a fantastic start to the season, this time securing all 5 points against Aberdeen Grammar. Kelso also walked away with the victory, this time against GHA. Gala are top of the table with their bonus point victory, while Kelso and Highland closely follow them. Melrose climb up to 5th with their victory, while GHK, Aberdeen Grammar and Watsonians occupy the relegation spots. Aberdeen will be at home for the first time this season as they look for their first win against Stirling County. GHK will face a difficult challenge in hosting 3rd place Highland, while there is an Edinburgh derby to look forward to, as Watsonians host Stuart's Melville. Cartha continued to struggle in Tennent's men's national 2 as Kirkcaldy put 47 points past them at Dumbreck. Boroughmuir, however, got their first win against Berwick, who were only just getting their season started. Falkirk could not recapture the form from their opening game as Newton Stewart grabbed the win in the Midlands. That result means Glasgow Accies go top with maximum points from their opening games. Newton Stewart start to open the gap between them and the rest of the table, with Dumfries and Carfla winless from their 2 opening games. Those two sides meet next week in the south, while Accies look to make it 3 from 3 against Boroughmuir. Elsewhere, Preston Lodge will look to get back on track against Peebles, and Berwick are at home for the first time to Falkirk. It was points galore in Tennent's men's national 3 as 354 were scored across the league. The best of the action was in Glasgow, where West of Scotland overcame Hillhead Jordan Hill by a single kick to win the game. Royal High, on the other hand, fell hit to a heavy defeat once again, this time against Howard Fife. Orkney remained top of the table after their win over Murrayfield Wanderers, ahead of Gordonians and West thanks to their superior points difference. Greenyards and Royal High are still searching for their first points of the season. They both meet in another bottom of the table clash next week. Elsewhere, Gordonians face White Craigs, Allen Glens will take on Perthshire, it's a big game for Howard Fife against Hillhead Jordan Hill, West of Scotland will host Murrayfield, and Strathmore will be the first team this season to travel to Orkney.
And so that is it for another weekend of Tennent's men's Premiership and National League action. Join us next week when we'll be rounding up all the scores from round 6 in the Premiership and round 5 in the National Leagues. Don't forget as well, you can now submit your entries for the Tennent's Try of the Month competition for September. Whether it's a breakaway solo try or a pack effort, we want to see your club's brilliant scores. Submissions must be in by Friday the 30th September. You can find out more about how to enter in the description below or on scottishrugby.org. We'll see you next week.